Welcome, everyone. This is Cory Phillips for the Offtop podcast. It is Tuesday, August 7th, episode 1 of the Offtop podcast. Thank you guys for joining us today. It is a privilege and an honor to be with you right now. This is the first ever Offtop podcast. This is an honor and a privilege to be with you guys. And this is an awesome platform for us to have some fun and talk about some sports, you know what I mean? And everybody share in being objective and having opinions on sports, because that's what it's all about, is being objective and having opinions and having some fun and rooting for your teams, whoever your team is. Everybody's got a different team and opinion about their sports teams. They have passion for the sports teams, and that's what this is all about. So it's a pleasure for you guys to be here, to listen in. We got a lot of NFL sport. You know, this is my favorite time of the year. It's getting a little cold outside. You know, you go to work, wake up, it's a little bit chilly. Your car needs to get warmed up a little bit. Got a little breeze. Temperature is not as hot. Getting into September. After that Labor Day weekend, which we just got through with Labor Day weekend, starting to get a little chilly out there. You're starting to see some leaves turn into brown, golden brown outside. Get a little nipply. It's fall. That means it's football season. You know what I mean? That is my favorite time of year. If you don't know, football is my favorite sport. Basketball and baseball. Those are my top three. I follow hockey. I follow all sports, to be honest with you. But the NFL is where it's at. This is when my year starts for me. This is fall and winter time from September through December, rolling into the new year. We're going to be rolling into 2022. January, you got Super Bowl, February. And in between all that, you got baseball coming to conclusion. You're going to have some fall classics for baseball playoffs. NBA will be rolling here in a few months. But the NFL is where it's at right now. We got 2 days between now and the start of the regular season. And we're going to touch on some. This show is going to be mostly NFL today. I'm not gonna lie to you right now. I'll be straight up. This is going to be mostly NFL stuff, because it's big. That's what's going on. I'll touch on some MLB scores and highlights from today. The playoffs are getting closer as we're winding down the Major League Baseball season. But let's be real. Everybody's waiting on NFL, and we're going to talk about some of the matchups coming up for this week and also touch on some fantasy football tidbits. But to start off, I don't know who everybody's favorite team. I'm sure everybody's got their own opinion on their favorite team. I am from St. Louis, Missouri, so I'm a little partial with the Rams because the Rams were in St. Louis when they won their Super Bowl and went to another Super Bowl and lost to the Patriots. But that's another story for another day. But I'm here in the Pacific Northwest. Seahawks are a big thing in the Pacific Northwest. Then you go down to the West Coast, you got 49ers, you got, the Raiders are in Vegas now, but I guess they're still on the West Coast. They're in Vegas, right? That's still considered West Coast. So Las Vegas Raiders, the LA Chargers, the LA Rams. If you go even further down towards the Southwest, you got the Arizona Cardinals. So we're going to touch on some NFL stuff right now. And to get started, we're going to start with week 1 of the NFL schedule. We're going to run through the schedule here, give you some of my thoughts and opinions on and preview some of these games that are coming up. We're going to start with, obviously, this Thursday night is the first game of the season. Start of week 1 will be the Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, some big headlines in the story. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the defending champs, and you have that team that is completely back from last season. They didn't lose a guy. So they're rolling in with some momentum, maybe a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. the biggest thing with Tampa Bay is going to be health. Tom Brady. Is this going to be his last season? Of course, there's going to be talks about if this is going to be his last season or not. There's been talks about it for the last, to be honest with you, 4 or 5 years. But is this going to be it? And can they stay healthy enough to get them for another Super Bowl run? And then on the flip side of that, you got the Dallas Cowboys. America's team, quote unquote. Now, I don't know what the spread is on this one. Let me check real quick. Oh yeah, it's 8. Tampa Bay is favored by 8 points in this game, over under 50.5. I'm going to take the under on that. I don't think there'll be that many points scored. But that being said, the Dallas Cowboys, their biggest concern right now is the offensive line and Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott coming off that nasty injury from last season. I think he played the first 3 or 4 games. And I'm going to lie, I had Dak Prescott on my fantasy team. And I don't really take Cowboy players, but this offense, if they're 100% healthy, is legit. They're really good. You got Joey Gallup, Amari Cooper. Zeke Elliott's going to do his thing. He's top 5 rushers in the league. But Dak Prescott was having an amazing season. Amazing. I had him on fantasy last year, like I said. And he was scoring 28 to 30 points, averaging a game when I had him starting. Unfortunately, he had that leg injury week 4, I believe it was. And it snapped his leg. He was carted off. He saw the tears running down his face. It was a sad moment. I had to pick up Justin Herbert. Big shout out to Justin Herbert. Got me to win for my championship along with Alvin Kamara. But Dak Prescott's healthy. They've been really cautious with him during the offseason. He hasn't really played a lot during the preseason for obvious reasons. They want to keep him healthy. But this is the headline game. And by the way, an interesting thing on this game, the tickets for this game are the highest they've ever been for an opening game. The average cost of a ticket for this game is $290 to get into this game. The average. Now, depending on what stadium you go, you can get a ticket for $75, $100, $290 average for this game. So that's a hot ticket. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers they averaged 29 points a game last year, with the Cowboys averaging 20.6 points a game. The money line for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is minus 420. I'm not 100% sold on the defense of the Cowboys, which is going to be the thing that Tom Brady does the most. I think it'll be low scoring. I don't think it's going to be 50.5 combined. But I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus the 8.5. I think they're going to win at least by 10 points. The Cowboys will start. This is a game where, it's opening night. Tampa's at home. They're going to have the momentum. It's going to be a huge ceremony. And I don't think the Cowboys have enough to spoil Tampa Bay's opening day with a victory. So I'm going to roll with Tampa minus the 8.5. But that's on Thursday night. Some key guys to start fantasy-wise, obviously Dak Prescott and Tom Brady. If you have those guys, if you have somebody better than Tom Brady, which there's only a few quarterbacks that are better than Tom Brady in fantasy right now. And that's what I mean by Aaron Rodgers. If you have a Patrick Mahomes, even a Josh Allen, somewhere in that ilk. Maybe borderline, and I don't even know, maybe Lamar Jackson, he's borderline. But those would be some guys. Other than that, you start Tom Brady. Obviously, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans will be their top-tier wide receivers, and they'll be the main targets. As far as the running game goes, I don't trust any of the Tampa Bay running backs. None. Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, they're great pieces, but they have a third option on that team as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, that being said, I wouldn't start any Tampa Bay running backs. I don't feel safe with them. We need to see how they are week 1. And they don't really run the ball as much as some of the other teams do. That being said, they're going to air it out. Tom Brady's going to do his usual dink and dunk. And don't forget about Gronk. I'm not sure if he would be a main starter if you have him on fantasy. OJ Howard is an elite tight end. On the other side of the ball, Dallas. Dak Prescott, obviously you want to start him. I guess you have one of those three or four top tier quarterbacks. But if you have him on your starting rotation, you need to start him. I believe Zeke Elliott, you need to start him as well. Amari Cooper is a top tier wide receiver. CeeDee Lamb is also a top tier receiver, believe it or not. Michael Gallup is kind of like a wide receiver 3, in my opinion, but maybe a 2 if you need them in deeper rosters if you have him. But overall, I think Tampa Bay will win this one. It's going to be 24-14 Tampa with the victory. So that's Thursday night. That's going to be on NBC or Peacock. You don't know that. It's going to be airing on Peacock as well. So all those people who are going to be working during the game, they can just stream it on their phone. The rest of the games, the slate of games this week. Now, there's some interesting matchups that I'm looking at on the schedule here. One of them, now the morning slate is pretty good. I'm just going to run down the list of the games. Philly at Atlanta, that's going to be at 10 a.m. Pittsburgh at Buffalo, that's an intriguing matchup. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Minnesota at Cincinnati. San Francisco at Detroit, that's going to be also the 10 a.m. on Fox. CBS has got Arizona and Tennessee for the morning slate. Seattle and Indianapolis. The Los Angeles Chargers at the Washington football team. And can they come up with a name, please? I'm serious. They had this whole year and some change to come up with a name for their team. But that's another story for another day. New York Jets at Carolina, and rounding out the morning slate will be Jacksonville at Houston. Now, there's a couple intriguing matchups. Pittsburgh at Buffalo, that's intriguing. Buffalo had an amazing year last year. And should be Josh Allen was a MVP runner-up. I believe he's going to continue that this year, and he's going to elevate. If their team stays healthy, mainly the offensive line, Buffalo is a threat to Kansas City to go to the Super Bowl. That defense is still good. The running game is a little suspect. Zach Moss, I like him. I think they need another. They come with a 1-2 punch, but their wide receiver core is good, and Josh Allen is a legit top 3 quarterback in this league. But they're playing a Pittsburgh Steelers team who a lot of people are writing off. Ben Roethlisberger going into, I believe this is 18th season. Pittsburgh is in a division that's probably one of the toughest divisions in the league right now with the emergence of the Cleveland Browns. They made their first playoff in over 10 years. Baltimore is still a threat, and Cincinnati is on the come up. So there's a consensus out there that Pittsburgh is done. Like, they're not contenders. I think that's BS. As long as Mike Tomlin is the coach of that team, he's won the division 7 times. He's been the head coach of the Steelers since 2007. And he's won it 7 times. So they're never out of it. The defense has gotten better. And they have prolific wide receivers on the outside with Claypool, Juju, my gosh, Juju Smith-Schuster. They're a real threat. The running game is a little bit. Najee Harris is their big draft pick that they made. But Pittsburgh is not done, not by a long shot, especially with the injuries to the running game on the Baltimore Ravens. That being said, Buffalo is a 6.5-point favorite over Pittsburgh on Sunday morning with the over-under at 48.5. I think it'll be over 48.5, but I think Buffalo has too much firepower for the Steelers to keep up with because the defense is a little bit suspect, and we just don't know with Ben Roethlisberger at his age how he's going to perform. He's been in the league for a long, long time. And This Buffalo team is young. They're up and coming. Stephon Diggs is a beast. I give it to that brother. He's a beast, man. He is top 2 or 3 wide receivers. You name 3 wide receivers that are better than Stephon Diggs. There is only a couple. He's elite. And it's just a connection. I mean, I've seen some interviews with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, and they have such a connection and a bond that it's spreading throughout the rest of the team. The offensive line is a concern, and if the offensive line can stay healthy and keep Josh Allen protected, they should have no issue repeating or making a run again this year. So I like the Bills plus the 6.5. But I think that the Steelers are still a team to contend with. This is a bad matchup to start the season off. Not the matchup I would want if I were the Steelers coming into week 1. But it is what it is. So that will be an intriguing matchup, and I like the Buffalo Bills in that. The other game that I'm looking at, the Seahawks and the Colts. Now, Carson Wentz just got off the COVID list today. They don't know if he's going to be available to play this week against the Hawks. This is a tough matchup for the Hawks because the Indianapolis Colts defense is good. But I think there's a couple of injuries and some issues with the Seahawks right now as far as their secondary is concerned and some of their holdout issues that they have right now, in particular Dwayne Brown, who is a key cog in the Seahawks offensive line. The Seahawks are favored by 2.5 with the over-under on 49.5. I believe it will be under 49.5 on the over-under, but I am taking the Seahawks plus the 2.5 points. And here's why. The defense, with a good defense, you need a good offense to help you out because there's questions at quarterback right now. They don't know if Carson Wentz is going to be able to play. That being said, T.Y. Hilton is out as well. So the offense is a little bit depleted in the wide receiver area. Now, the Seahawks, the key for the Seahawks is, can they be able to get a pass rush going? There's questions with the secondary, with DJ Reed, Trey Flowers. They're not really set in stone with those guys in the secondary, but the pass rush is going to be the absolute key for the Seahawks defense to be successful. If they can get a pass rush, they're going to be okay. Russell Wilson with an elite offense that they have, Chris Carson. You already know about Metcalf and Lockett. Those two brothers are elite. And you add Gerald Everett as your tight end. That's an elite group right there. And then Rashad Penny will be backing up Chris Carson. If Rashad Penny needs to stay healthy, I don't know, this might be his last leg with the Seahawks. But we'll see. But I like the Seahawks plus the 2.5. Starting off the season 1-0. I think it's just too much firepower for the Colts defense to be able to keep with. Metcalf is on a pace to have I have a feeling, a MVP type season. Russell Wilson, he's always in the MVP conversation. But there is concerns with the new offensive coordinator and with Pete Carroll in the defense. But I still think it's enough for the Seahawks. The talent that they have on that team is enough for them to get by. So I like the Seahawks plus the 2.5 on Sunday morning. Other matchups the one game that's interesting, because they just announced last night about Tyrod Taylor being the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans this week. Some people think the situation with Deshaun Watson has been mishandled. Some people think it's been handled right. 50-50 on this issue. I'll put it to you like this. There must have been something that was said or something came up from an above source, meaning the commissioner's office, because you're letting the guy still stay on the active roster, but he's not starting. Look, if I'm running the team right now, and he's not on the commissioner's pub list or the exempt list, whatever the list it is, then I'm starting him. Deshaun Watson is an elite talent. Now, are you going to get a king's ransom based on everything that's been going on with him? No, not at all. But I think that you're doing yourself a disservice to start a guy who is not even on Deshaun Watson's level. And let's be honest, Tyrod Taylor is not on Deshaun Watson's level at all. You can argue with me about that if you want. Whatever it is, that's crap. That's BS. Deshaun Watson is an elite quarterback in this league. When things were going good, and Bill O'Brien, even though he's gone now, Bill O'Brien, they did take him to four playoff appearances in 6 years. Deshaun Watson was a big part of that. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. But if you're paying the guy still, he's getting paid. He's not on any exempt list. He's not. You didn't get a call from Commissioner Goodell saying that, hey, I think you should bench this guy or put him on the exempt list. Then okay, I understand that. But if there's nothing being said about that, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're just asking for a week 1 loss. And you're playing Jacksonville, even though Jacksonville is terrible. They're trash. They're young. Trevor Lawrence first NFL start. They're still a 2.5 point favorite. What does that say about you, Houston? That doesn't say too much when a terrible Jacksonville Jaguars team with a new coach, a college coach, mind you, and a first-time starting quarterback is a 2.5 point favorite against you, a team. I don't even know what to say. The over-under is 44.5. They'll probably hit that, maybe slightly under. I'll probably go with the under with the 44.5. But I do like Jacksonville minus 2.5 in the game. I'm sure they'll win by 3 or more. Unless they make a switch at quarterback last minute. And we'll see. But right now, Tyrod Taylor's the man in Houston. But I think that's a big mistake. Other matchups, Arizona and Tennessee. That's a good matchup. Tennessee, they got Julio Jones, Tannehill. Derrick Henry is an all-pro running back. They just boosted the roster by adding Julio Jones. Now you have another weapon you have to deal with. Arizona, on the other hand, Kyler Murray had a phenomenal season last year. They came up short. They barely missed the playoffs. But the defense got a little bit more better. J.J. Watt, I understand he's a little bit older now, a little bit more seasoned. But he can get a defense in that locker room going. He's a good locker room presence, and he can still go. So I like Arizona. Tennessee is a 3-point favorite. I like Arizona plus the 3. I think Arizona will be good enough to win. Chase Edmonds is a good running back, and he's up and coming. DeAndre Hopkins, and then Larry Fitzgerald. I don't know how Larry Fitzgerald is still doing it after all these years, but he's still on the squad. He's your number 2. DeAndre Hopkins is the top 5 wide receiver in this league. And Kyler Murray, he's right there on that edge to me. What I mean by that is he's got the quickness and the speed. He can scramble out of the pocket. I just need him to air it out a little bit more and a little bit more accurate. I don't want to hear the excuse of he's short, he's too small. Russell Wilson was the same way, and look how he's doing. So I don't want to hear all that. But Kyler Murray is like a step away from being an elite quarterback. So I like Arizona plus the 3, but Tennessee in Vegas is favored by 3. With the over under 52, I think they'll exceed that. And then let's go into what I'm going to go into now. Is some of those afternoon matchups. Let's see what we got here. We got Cleveland and Cincinnati. That's a huge game, and I'll get into that in a second. Miami and New England. Tua. Everybody's crapping on Tua right now, but we'll get into that in another second. Green Bay, New Orleans. Now, this is going to be played. It will not be played in New Orleans. It's supposed to be a home game for the Saints, but after the hurricane, they have relocated. New Orleans has been practicing in Dallas this past week, getting prepared for the season opener. That's a tough matchup against Green Bay, and we'll get back to that in a second. And then rounding out the afternoon is Denver and New York. The Sunday night game is Chicago versus my LA Rams. We'll get to that in a second. And then finally, wrapping up the week, you know the one thing I was talking to my friend about today? Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football is Baltimore and the Las Vegas Raiders. But there's only one Monday Night Football game, which is disappointing. And I don't know why the NFL decided to make this change. I know they extended the regular season, but the last maybe 5, 6, 7 years, we've had double headers on Monday Night Football. It was one of those days I was looking forward to. It was like, oh my God, when I was working in the food service, I would get off work because I would work in the mornings on Mondays. You know, I was cooking burgers and stuff, pastas, salads and stuff. Back in the day when I was younger. But I would be excited when this day came around because I'm like, oh, what time do you get off? I get off at 3. Hey, can you stay later, Cory? Nope. I'm not staying later. Why is that? Because it's a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. You would have a 4:30 game and you would have a 7:30 game right after that. It was beautiful. Get off work, go home, get some snacks, get some dinner ready, and then you just watch football for 6, 7 hours. And they took it away. I'm a little sad about that. But the Monday night game is Baltimore and Vegas. Baltimore seems to be the perennial favorite to win the AFC North. I disagree with that, but it's a favorable matchup in their favor against the Raiders. Raiders are a little bit of flux right now. I'm not a big fan of Derek Carr. I think he has underperformed in these past couple of years. Last year he had an okay season. Defense wasn't that great. They're a little short on offensive weapons, especially at wide receiver. Jacobs is a beast. At wide. And then Darren Waller is a beast at tight end. He's probably a top 2 or 3 tight end besides Travis Kelce. But the Raiders are little question marks on defense and the offensive line. Derek Carr was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league last year. And you know what you get with the Ravens. The Ravens are stout on defense. Their number 1 team is the run, or number 2 besides the Rams. The Rams were number 1 run defense. The offense they were dead last in receiving yards, but they were number 1 rushing team in the league. I think this year, with the additions of Sammy Watkins, you got Hollywood Marcus Brown still there, and they made a couple of moves to boost the wide receiver core. Is it going to be enough? You can't be worse than dead last. I think they'll improve a little bit better. Lamar Jackson has never had the most accurate arm. He wasn't like that in Louisville in college. He's been better since he's gotten to the league. But Lamar Jackson's biggest weapon is his feet. He's a big running back. He almost reminds me of Cam Newton in some ways, but doesn't have the arm strength, but he has more elusiveness than Cam Newton. And he knows when to slide and get out of bounds when it needs to be. But the Ravens are favored by 4.5, over under 51. I like the Ravens plus the 4.5. But I wouldn't say they're the perennial favorites to win the AFC North. You got Cleveland and Pittsburgh to contend with. So we can talk about that on another day. The Cleveland-Kansas City game is huge. Cleveland's trying to make a statement saying that they were no fluke last year, that they are legit a playoff contending team. Kansas City, on the other hand, is trying to go to a 3rd straight Super Bowl and revenge the loss from the last year's Super Bowl. Obviously, you know what you're getting with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. The defense is good. Kansas City should win the AFC again. I mean, tell me another team that's going to be able to contend with them. The only team I can think of right now to contend with Kansas City is Buffalo. You run down the list. Baltimore doesn't scare me. The Chargers don't scare me. Cleveland doesn't scare me. Tennessee, maybe. I need to see more from Tannehill in the defense, but there's only one team really that can contend with KC at this point right now on paper, and that's the Buffalo Bills. But Kansas City should be the odds-on favorite. Kansas City has a 6-point favorite from Vegas against Cleveland. I'm gonna take the over on that. I think they'll win by at least 10 to 14 points. The over/under is 54.5. I think they'll slightly go over that, but I like Kansas City to win this week. And then my other matchup that I wanted to talk about, the Green Bay Packers and the New Orleans Saints. Now, the New Orleans Saints are going through life without Drew Brees at this point. They named Jameis Winston the starter last weekend, I believe it was. Where on the flip side, you're looking at the Packers, and the Packers are trying to play through some of the drama of the Aaron Rodgers situation during the offseason. Now they've come to a mutual agreement that Aaron Rodgers will be in uniform and playing for the Green Bay Packers this season. What I'm just going to call it right now. This is the first episode of the Offtop podcast, and I'm going to call it right now. This will be Aaron Rodgers' last season in the Green Bay Packers uniform. He will be gone by next season. Whether it's San Francisco, he's a Cal Golden Boy, right? He went to the University of California. So he's either going to go to San Francisco or he's going to one of the LA teams, the Rams and the Chargers. You take your pick. Probably the Rams. Actually, the funny story about that is the Rams tried to make it go for Aaron Rodgers during the offseason, and they ended up selling them with Matt Stafford. And we'll get into them in a minute. But the drama that has happened, but Aaron Rodgers is a professional. Well, at least I hope he is. I'm pretty sure he is. And the Packers have a chance. They're one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl this year. Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, an elite defense. A.J. Dillon is there too. He's another elite running back. Well, he's not elite yet, but he's a good secondary backup. Packers are favored by 4 in this matchup. Jameis Winston being the starter on this team. Jameis Winston, I thought Taysom Hill should not have played in those games for the Saints last year while Drew Brees was recovering from his hand injury. And I'll tell you why. Taysom Hill is a gadget quarterback. He's good on different plays that not on every play that he can be in. On certain run plays or gadget plays, he's good at. Jameis Winston is a legit elite quarterback. Now, I know 2 seasons ago he threw for 30 interceptions. Nobody's going to ever forget that. But the man also threw for 35 touchdowns and threw for over 4,500 yards. He's an elite quarterback, and I think he would work better in this offense than Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, you can plug in on a little gadget play, a little screen, a little wildcat action. I get it. And that's what they've been doing with him since he's been there. He's been playing a little tight end. He's been playing a little wide receiver. He's been playing running back. But you don't need a guy like that throughout a whole season. You need somebody to be up front and center and is willing to fling the football downfield. I know they got some injuries for Michael Thomas. They announced today he's going to be on the pup list. He's going to be out until week 6, which sucks because I have him on fantasy football. But that's another story. I picked him up in the draft. Yeah, I did. Picked him up in the draft because I know he'll be back. And Michael Thomas is an elite wide receiver. He's probably top 2 or 3 when healthy. But in the event, the Packers are favored by 4. I like that. I'll take the under on the 4. I think it'll be less. It'll be like a 2 or 3 point game. I think it'll be close. but I think the Packers will pull it out, and it's going to be on neutral ground. Other than that, the other matchups I like. I'm interested to see, obviously, the Rams. If you don't know, like I said in the beginning of the show, I am a Rams fan. I've been a Rams fan for a long time. That doesn't mean I'm not biased by any stretch. Now, amongst my friends, I'm biased because I'm going to tell them what I want to hear. But on this show, I'm telling you, the Rams are legitimate to win the NFC West. They're not going to win or go to the Super Bowl with the team currently constructed right now. That being said, I think they will make the playoffs, and I think they will win the division. It's going to come down to the Hawks and the Rams to win the division. I don't think the 49ers have enough. And we're going to get into that right now. My division picks, my division winners for this upcoming season. Now, seeing this show is being recorded, and y'all can hear me on this. The show is being recorded, so whatever I say, it's going on record as being as such. So, we'll start with the NFC. I'll start with the NFC West. I'll start with there, and I think the Rams will win the NFC West based on their schedule and the team they have currently constructed. I like their pickup of Matt Stafford. I think he is a legitimate upgrade from Jared Goff. Jared Goff, I've never liked him since the Rams. I was hoping he would get better, and he had one good season. The emergence of Cooper Kupp. That pickup of Robert Woods, that team was legit. You had Brandon Cooks there for one season. You had Todd Gurley on that team. You went to the Super Bowl, even though some people think he shouldn't deserve it because that was an interception against the Saints. A lot of people think the Saints should have went to the Super Bowl that year. That being said, I think the Rams are a favorite to win the West. The NFC South, of course, I gotta go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the odds-on favorite to win the division. Because if you look at the rest of the division, the Atlanta Hawks have done nothing to upgrade their team. It looks like they're in rebuilding mode. Carolina, you let Teddy Bridgewater go to Denver, and you trade for Sam Darnold. Now Sam Darnold is your starting quarterback. Now Sam Darnold will be on a better team because they'll have Christian McCaffrey running. DJ Moore is a good wide receiver, but you gotta need more offense. And the Saints, I think the Saints will probably make a playoff run. I don't think it's enough for them to win the division because you have to play Tampa twice, and that's going to be 2 losses. I think you'll probably split with Carolina and split with Atlanta. So I think Tampa Bay is the odds-on favorite in that division. The NFC North, I think that's going to go to the Green Bay Packers because the rest of the division, again, they're kind of in flux right now. The Chicago Bears, the Detroit Lions are horrible on paper. They'll probably be horrible in real life, but they're horrible on paper. And then the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Minnesota Vikings are an odd team because sorry, that's my phone, but or is that you guys' phone? It's all good. Minnesota Vikings are an odd team because you got Kirk Cousins there. Adam Thielen had an off season last year. They got their defense was getting kind of old there for a little bit, and Dalvin Cook wasn't 100%. I think Dalvin Cook, his best season was last year, and he didn't even play all 16 games. I think he played 14. Minnesota is a contender for a wild card spot, but I don't think they're going to win the division. I think that's the Packers all the way. And then finally, you got the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys have that thing locked up, I think. And I'll tell you why. When you look at the surrounding teams in that division, you got to look at matchups. You have to play the New York Giants twice, the Philadelphia Eagles twice, and the Redskins twice. Now, I'm sorry, the Washington football team. I apologize. So when you look at that, and obviously on paper, the Cowboys were a superior team, offense and defensively. I think the Giants didn't do anything to impress me to upgrade. Daniel Jones is on his last leg too. I think he might get this. We need to see something from Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley, he's just coming off an injury. We'll see how 100% healthy he is. A lot of people are scared of him in fantasy. The Eagles, they have quote unquote a quarterback controversy, which doesn't make any sense to me because of who they have at quarterback. Jalen Hurts should be the starter right now. They just traded for Gardner Minshew. And you still have Joe Flacco on the team, and they have not named a starter. The offense doesn't have, a starting running back to speak of right now. They have a couple guys that could be potential. And the wide receiver core is just decimated. It doesn't look good for the Eagles this year. And I know I have a lot of friends that are Eagles fans right now who have been very quiet during the offseason. Now, maybe when the season starts peaking up, they start winning a few games, we'll hear them chirping. But for right now, they've been very quiet. I haven't heard a lot of my Eagles fans talking. But we'll see if I can add some more with this podcast. So I think right now, presently constructed and with a healthy Dak Prescott, and if the offensive line can stay intact, the Dallas Cowboys are winning that division easily. So those are my division winners in the NFC. The AFC, I'm going to run that down right now, and it shouldn't be that hard, except for one division. The AFC East, it looks like I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. That shouldn't have been looks like it should have been the Buffalo Bills. Because the matchup, now the Miami Dolphins are going to make a run. The Miami Dolphins are a legit team who have a really good defense. Tua is not. That's another thing I wanted to talk about real quick before I move on. Why is everybody crapping on Tua right now? I'm hearing a lot of teams that were interested in trading their quarterbacks, and Miami was a center focus of conversation for Tua. But teams are asking for Miami to trade with them, but not for Tua. Like, Tua is just this average quarterback who has done nothing. Tua is a legit quarterback. Now, you got to find him in the right system. I know he's a smaller quarterback. He doesn't have the arm strength. It's like a Zach Wilson or somebody like that. But Tua's a legit quarterback. I mean, he's really good. But I don't think they have enough to overcome the Bills. So I think the Bills are going to win. And with the Patriots going, I mean, Mac Jones will be good. I don't think they're enough to overtake the Bills. And then the Jets are the Jets. Jets, Jets. But I think the Buffalo Bills will win the AFC East. The AFC South, which is going to be a complex one, but I'm thinking I'm going to roll with the Tennessee Titans on this one, just on the addition of the Julio Jones transaction and the fact that Houston, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville are all going through like a rebuilding mode. Indianapolis don't even have a starting quarterback at this point right now. So I'm going to go with Tennessee. My other two picks, the AFC West, come on, who do you think that's going to be? It's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. There's no team in that division that's coming close to them. Maybe the LA Chargers, but the Raiders don't have enough. And the Broncos are the Broncos. They'll be in the cellar again. And then finally, this was the intriguing division. I think this is probably the best division besides the NFC West, and it's the AFC North. And a lot of people are saying right now that the Baltimore Ravens are the odds-on favorite. I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, I honestly believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win the division, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Cleveland Browns won it. I'll just put it to you like that. If you were to ask me, if I were to ask me to put money on whichever team, those three teams, I'll pick Cleveland right now. My money would be on Cleveland. So they're your division winners for the AFC and the NFC. You can book it. We have this recorded. It's going to be on live. And we'll roll the film if anybody wants to question me later on down the road. But those are my predictions for the division winners right now. Okay? So, as we come to the end of this podcast, I just wanted to say thank you. But there's one thing I wanted to talk about before we sign off here. And I don't know if you guys are checking social media today, but the teaser trailer for The Matrix 4 came out today. And the official trailer comes out Thursday morning at 6 a.m. I saw it and I freaked out. So if you go on the link, there's a WB link, or if you go online to thematrix.com, they have a link and it shows a red pill and a blue pill just from the first movie. I don't know if you guys remember the first Matrix movie. And you click on it and it shows you some clips from the movie. So just little teaser clips from the movie. And then it shows in actual real time, like you're in the Matrix and the clock shows up. It's like 11:45. When I looked at my clock, it was 11:45. I was like, what is going on here? That was probably the coolest thing I've seen in a long time. Now, for me, I'm a huge movie buff. If you don't know me and you're going to get to know me, I'm a huge movie buff. And The Matrix is one of the favorite movies of all time. I like the whole trilogy. The Matrix Reloaded is probably one of my favorite movies, just strictly on how much action is in that movie. The first Matrix is the best, honestly. But The Matrix Reloaded is pretty good. All three movies. So I'm super excited about this movie. Keanu Reeves is one of my favorite actors. I mean, and they're talking about launching this movie and John Wick 4 at the same time, on the same weekend. Now, I don't think that's a smart move, but I think they should do John Wick first weekend and then bring out the next Matrix on the next weekend. But that's what I mean. But you should go check out that teaser trailer. It is ridiculous. And then the real trailer comes out this Thursday morning. Thursday is going to be jam-packed. I ain't going to get no sleep. I got to take the kids to school. I'm going to be up watching that trailer about 10, 15 times, okay? Then I got to take the kids to school, and then I got to work, and then I got to watch football. It's going to be a great week. So next week, we're going to preview week 2, go into some MLB stuff because it's getting close to playoff time. And we're gonna know a lot on seeding and who's gonna be making it in. There's some good playoff races, especially in the wild card in the American League and the National League. But we're gonna review week 1. We're gonna talk about some week 2 stuff, getting prepared for week 2, and have some fun. So you guys, thank you for joining us. We'll talk week 2 of NFL next week. Until then, peace and love, and we'll talk to you soon.